From the digiMAX studios in Metamora, Illinois, it's time for the Danny Grieves Show. Here's Metamora Redbird head basketball coach Danny Grieves and host Scott Kerker.
Hello, Coach. As the season starts to wind down, we celebrated a very special group of seniors the other night, the 6 seniors, and in front of a massive crowd. They said
got there early.
Got there real early. People knew that they were going to have to get there early, and they did. It was like you said, the gym was pretty much full by the end or by the third quarter of the JV game. Yeah, that was pretty impressive. But we'll get to that in a minute. We'll go back to the last game, or the first game that is on our little agenda tonight. You traveled over to Limestone a week ago tonight.
Yep, big town of Bartonville.
Big town of Bartonville, and you beat Limestone. I believe it was 70 to 41. And to me, that is always a tough gym to go to. It's kind of closed and condensed. Cracker box. Yeah. Wall is right there on the floor.
It is.
But you went over there and you took care of it.
They always get chippy.
Yeah,
doesn't matter
it does.
If they're good or bad, that's going to happen, and it did.
It did. But I thought you went over there and took care of business.
We did. I tell you what, our kids were well dialed in. You know, it seems like we tell them, hey, every game's a big game, and it is. Mm-hmm. You know, especially when you're chasing dreams like we are and trying to get better every game. And, you know, there's no time to let down or not play to your full potential. So, you know, that's what we told them again. We got to go out there and can't go through the motions, you know, do what we do best and try to take away what they do best. Mm-hmm. And I think we did that at times.
I thought you guys played very, very, very well again. Tyler Mason, I thought, was just outstanding. But your 5 starters, it seems like every week are starting to get a little bit more. It's become one unit, mm-hmm. and they're getting
pretty cohesive bunch.
They certainly are. It just amazes me, and you know, we've touched on it a little bit before, but the guy that I just love watching play is Tyson Swanson. He's kind of got an old style of basketball, the way he plays. He never seems to be
Well, if you cracked him open and looked inside, there's an old man in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all. He doesn't say much. He kind of smiles a little bit, and you know, when you need a bucket, he's as dependable as there is.
Right. Doesn't matter if it's inbounds or down low on a regular play, or he's pretty efficient. He's
very efficient. Yeah. You know, you need a big rebound, and he's been playing great defense, and he's just been very steady all the way through.
To me, he plays bigger than he is.
Oh, for sure.
But when he started as a sophomore, you know, we had plenty of guards. He had to play inside, mm-hmm. and he did learn how to play bigger kids. And then, you know, not just on the defensive side, but had to score on those bigger guys too. And I think that's really helped him, you know, mold his craft to being so good inside.
Yeah. And, you know, he's just become such a vital part of the Metamora team this year. And you know, there are so many guys you can go to and talk about. It seems like sometimes he kind of gets lost in the shuffle because he is so consistent. He's not real flashy. You look at the score sheet, and at the end of the game, he's got, you know, 8, 15 points somewhere in there just about every night.
Right.
And you just kind of take him for granted.
Don't even remember where he got him.
No. Wait, he had 12, 14 points. Wow. When did he do that?
What I love, though, is he can knock down that 3. So now anybody that's got to guard him has got to come out.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of a mid-range game, but he's really good around the basket.
I would venture to say he's got the best mid-range game in the Mid-Atlantic Conference.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. And you know, we sometimes we don't talk a lot about him because, like I said, we kind of almost take him for granted. And I wanted to make sure we talked about him a little bit.
Then you get on him and go, look, man, you got to score. And he'll go out and score 10 in a row like it was nothing.
Yeah, like, okay.
Okay, is that what you wanted? Yes.
Yes. But I thought over at Limestone, you really flexed your muscles. You had some spectacular plays, and those are great.
A lot of dunks.
And those are fantastic. Yeah. And those fast break points are unbelievable. But what I liked is it was late in the third quarter, and you were up probably 28, 29 points, and there was a loose ball, and I saw 3 Metamora kids diving for the ball.
Well, they go out and play hard. They know that that's the only way to play. It doesn't matter if the game is up 50, down 50, or tied.
Yeah.
There's only one way to play it, and I think our kids have done a good job of playing that style.
Yeah, it was, to me, it really showed who wanted to win that ball game. The game was in doubt, or was not in doubt anymore at that point. But there was only one Limestone player on the floor, and there were others just watching the whole thing unfold. But you had three guys diving for it, and that was fantastic.
That's what champions are made of.
That's the difference between winning and losing
Right.
on a consistent basis. And I think Limestone will get there. It's just not this year yet.
I don't ever see it. To me, that's where coaches go to die.
Oh,
I mean, take a look at what they've actually done. I mean, we could sugarcoat it and go, yeah, they'll do. I don't think they will. All right, they didn't win a game this year in the Mid-Illini. They go 0-14. You know, their younger program has got some good kids coming up, but there's always at some point in time, something happens, and I don't know what the snap of it is, but I hope they get better because we need our conference as strong as we can get.
Yeah.
But man, they're struggling out there.
Yeah, they certainly
their
are.
administration doesn't make great choices, and now they get what they get.
Mm-hmm.
They've had some really good coaches out there that they've kind of ran off or haven't supported to the hilt.
Mm-hmm.
And but I would love to see them, like you said, get better and be a stronger part of the Mid-Illini because we need that.
Yeah. You traveled Friday to East Peoria again in front of a huge crowd. It was
their biggest crowd since 1996.
Wow.
Is what they told me. That was back the day they had Vershaw and those guys. They were really
Kuhn.
good. Yeah.
Corey Kuhn was, I thought, one of the best guards I'd seen in the Mid-Illini. Yeah, you're right. It was just a massive, massive crowd, and they were treated to a really well-played basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids, the thing about East Peoria is first off, they're very, very well coached.
Yes,
And number
John does a
two,
great job.
they match up with us pretty well.
Yes, they do.
And, they're not afraid to go at you. And now that they have Justin Page, he's been kind of that guy they lacked, and now they've got him. And so
Justin didn't get a field goal until a while.
late in the game.
Yes.
Drew Tucker, I thought in that game, played, it was ridiculous how good a defense he played on Justin Page.
When you take those kind of kids and take away what they do best on the other side of the ball with other teams, people can't stay with us.
No.
And I thought, here again, Drew Tucker is just amazing as far as the ability to, every play, he just wants to win it, And that's what he does, offensively, defensively. Man, he's in it to win it every play. And when he doesn't, you can see him. He gets ticked off. If he has a turnover or something, he's like shot out of a cannon going to the other end, trying to make up for it and get a steal or get the rebound or take a charge. I love the way he plays.
There was a stretch I believe it was late in the third quarter, where he took a pretty good shot. He was bringing the ball up, and Page came up to kind of trap him, but Drew kind of turned right into him, and it was a pretty good collision. Page got the foul. Drew went to the line, and he went right up to the line, and he was hobbled. And he was in some pain. Mm-hmm. And Kaiser came up and pushed him away from the line,
Right.
pushed him back.
Gave him a minute.
And you waited till the last possible minute to give him even
I
more
already
time.
told him, hey, take your time. As soon as you get ready, I'm going to call a timeout and give you some rest.
And you did. Yeah. And I thought that was probably one of the top 2 or 3 best timeouts of the year. Mm-hmm. Because you could see.
Because it wasn't Page that clipped him. It was the kid behind him. I think it was DuBois.
Might have been.
Pick a guy. But, man, I thought it was a pretty cheap foul the way he came at him. Then the kid wanted to say, oh, man, I didn't foul him. He goes, you almost severed his leg. And the kid goes, oh, I didn't foul him. I'm going, but I'll tell you what, Drew showed some real grit and toughness right there because he was hurt.
He was hurt.
And that knee was pretty swollen the next day.
Yeah. He was in some pain after the game. I saw him, and he said he was in a little bit of pain.
Right.
But he was still there the next day, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He was still there.
Didn't come out, didn't want to come out.
And again, that's what champions are made of.
Yeah.
You came away with a 10-point win, 60-50, and that was a nice win. you could say, well, we didn't really play well. But, again, it's not all about the Picassos. It's about getting W's. And we kept the momentum, and we went out and got a win.
Down the stretch, hit some nice free throws.
Oh, I think we were
big shots.
8 for 8 down the line, down the stretch, weren't we? Something like that.
Good stuff.
Very, very good. I thought
just good coaching. And when they miss him, it's poor coaching.
Yeah. Another nice win. I thought East Peoria was, because they came out and they played
Since
hard.
I've been here, they've always played us tough.
They've always played us tough.
They beat us a couple times. Remember when they beat us in our tournament?
Yes.
That was like 3, 4, 5 years ago, whatever that was. Mm-hmm. They didn't get it invited back.
That's always a wise move.
Oh, yeah. You got to go. You beat us in our tournament.
Yeah, you beat us, and you don't ever see it.
And actually, we did invite them back. They just chose not to. But they're always well prepared.
Yeah.
That's when we talk about the different teams in the area, who's the toughest one to figure out and prepare for, East Peoria is one of those.
Yeah.
And they just seem to have our number. And then they go over to Washington, which I think they have much better talent, and get beat twice. I mean,
yeah.
But it's one of those things, and I talk to John occasionally on this. It's kind of like us when I first got here. We had this thing in our brains where we couldn't beat them. We had them beat, we let them off the hook. We had them beat, we let them off the hook.
Yep.
And now I'm sure glad that trend has changed.
Right.
They haven't beat us in a while.
They haven't beat us in a while. But, for us, it was always beating Morton.
Was it?
We could never beat Morton. And then you came in your first year. It was the first game we ever televised. And they had...
we had to beat them in 6 years.
Yeah. Oh, and then it was we probably only had like 3 wins against them since my senior year, the first year of the Mid-Illini.
Really?
Oh, that was
I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. And they had Bisping.
Rated number 6 in the state.
They were number 6 in the state, and they had they had really good complementary players.
Sure did.
And you beat them by about 30.
Yeah.
At halftime, the game was over.
It was over.
And I'm thinking to myself, wow, we should have showed up here even sooner.
They got on the bus and had no idea what happened.
No. It was
Coach didn't know what happened. Players didn't know what happened. And he told me afterwards, he goes, our kids were just blitzkrieg. They didn't know what happened. They came in here thinking that they were just going to beat us. Said we were out-hustled, out-defended, out-offensed, out-coached, out-managed. Your managers were better. He went all the way down the line. And it was a good win for our program. I didn't realize at the time how bad we needed that against them because I didn't know we were just taking it on the chin every time.
Oh, we were. Man, I remember when I was in high school and we played Morton, and that was the days of Norm Reiser. And
Storm and Norm, he could coach.
He could coach, and he had a son, Greg, that played. Mm-hmm. And we'd go, they'd play that 1-3-1 zone that was just, and they always had guys that had arms that were I think they had about 9-foot wingspans. And sometimes
the year they had Koch and those guys, they were 6'10", 6'9", 6'8", all the way across. They could touch hands all the way. There's nowhere you could go.
No. They had, it was Koch, Grimm, and Ryan Burge, if I remember right.
Yeah. Grimm was an excellent player. He went to Missouri.
Yes. They were very, very good. And Norm Reiser was a good coach. And, they were very good. The only thing I always thought that they maybe lacked just a little bit was guards. Other than that, they were really, really good.
They had a lot of bigs.
And, it was they were a tough out.
And they still are.
Oh,
you know what? We've done very well against them since I've been here. I don't know how many times you lost to them, but we beat them more than we lose, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah. So we've kind of gotten revenge on them a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you came back last night and you played a Dunlap team on senior night.
That's on the rise. They're playing good basketball right now.
And Sutter is going to be a real...
He's a load right now. Wait till he gets some experience. Because you could see him, he had, last night, he had some good moves, but then he had a couple of indecisions where I thought he should go ahead and take the shot or one more move and go up, and he wasn't quite as fluid. But you get him another year of experience and some AU in him, man, he's going to be really tough.
He could be a real tough kid.
Decent three-point shooter, but really strong going to the rim.
Really, really strong, and he's only a freshman.
Yeah.
So that's one guy you're going to have to contend with for another 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's fine. But I thought, last night you talked about the crowd over at East Peoria, and then the crowd last night. That was a huge crowd. Charlie Zimmerman thought it was maybe the biggest crowd this year. May very well have been.
Big. A whole lot of folks didn't get in.
A whole lot of folks didn't get in. We had great numbers on the YouTube channel and on 401, and they watched that game. It was a great night for Metamora. The pregame I thought was very well. You introduced the Metamora grade school 7th and 8th grade teams.
That was cool.
Yes, it was. You had senior night with all the seniors involved.
They got a really good standing ovation.
They got a really nice standing
I told them, man, you better get up. You might not ever see this kind of stuff again here. Yeah. This group is special.
Both our seniors and those 7th and 8th graders.
Yes.
That was very, very nice. And then
excellent night of basketball in that gym.
Very nice. And then the other thing, you were able to honor both Tyson Swanson and Ethan Kaiser for scoring 1,000 points.
Mm-hmm.
And, both of them on the same team.
Right.
Man, that just doesn't happen. And couldn't happen to two nicer kids.
Yes.
That was awfully nice. And then the quality of basketball. Because I thought Dunlap played pretty well too.
You know what they brought? They were well prepared, high energy. Their guards are really good. Mm-hmm. And we lost them a couple of times, but Cedar had 10 at the half. We missed two guards twice, so they both hit. So they're 16. They only had 20 at the half, and but the other guys really struggled.
Yeah.
But we knew Sutter inside was going to be pretty strong. But when he's in there battling and making twos, those guards aren't out there making threes.
Right.
And that's their deal. They're kind of a lot like Washington in their effective dribble drive offense and kick for threes, and we didn't help on those, and so they couldn't get the threes. They hit a couple of them, that was it.
Yeah. Now, their three-point shooting is kind of what beat Morton, wasn't it, for them? Mm-hmm. And, you're right. We completely shut them. They got a couple threes late in the game, but for the most part, you guys were all over them.
They hurt us, but they didn't kill us.
No.
Our length bothers them when we get up and guard.
Mm-hmm. You were able to get out and run. I noticed they tried to slow the ball game down a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't slow it down quite like Washington did, but they did try to make us play some defense for a minute or two. Mm-hmm. But at some point, they had to force the action. They were behind.
I mean, how long are you going to do that and just lose by 12 or 15?
Right.
I mean, if you got any man in you at all, you want to just, it's fight or flight, man. Let's fight.
Yeah.
Holding the ball is not how you win.
That's not how you win.
That's not going to win any war.
No, especially when you're already down 12, 14, 16 points. And they didn't hold it too long, but I thought that they
wanted to see what we're going to do to it. We're going to come all the way out and get them when they can go around us. And our guys kind of want to step out and inch out. And I go, no, get back, man. We call it toes to three. You know what? Get your toes on the three-point line and don't go out any farther than that. Especially on guys that can't shoot, they're all drive. And so that's kind of what we did. And so it was a little bit easier guarding that drive man, and so we didn't have to help on the kick, and thus they couldn't hit the three.
Yeah, it was then it got to be a nice, entertaining game when the dunks started coming.
Right.
The rebound putback dunk by Ethan
was pretty cool.
early in the fourth quarter was pretty special.
Timing was good.
Yeah, timing was very good. Taught him that, didn't you?
Every bit of it.
Yeah. But yeah, and Drew Tucker had a couple of dunks.
Yeah, he did.
Which was nice. That was a nice way for that group of seniors to go out, and the thing at the end of the game that really got me, there were two things. One was you have seen 6 seniors. Mm-hmm. You ended the game with 5 seniors on the floor.
Right.
And they all scored.
And then we had 8 seconds, and then we had a chance to get them out so they could get that curtain call. It worked out perfect.
It did. And
they scored, got their curtain call. People yelled, screamed, and hollered, took pictures, kissed babies. It was all, It was really fun.
It was.
I mean, you couldn't write a better script for a senior night, and I was very proud of it, and I was really happy for our guys.
you had 6 seniors that walked off that court for the final time at Tupke Gym with huge smiles on their face.
Yep.
And the other thing that I thought was really special is with that win, you went to 14-0 in the conference.
Yeah.
And
first time ever for us.
First time ever for Metamora. 27-2.
Yeah.
You're 14-0 in the Mid-Illini Conference.
25-game win streak.
25-game winning streak, second longest in the state. I think Decatur Lutheran leads it with 26, I believe. So, that was a very special night. And, boy, you're right. We couldn't have scripted it any better.
People hung around for like midnight. I mean, they didn't want to go home, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you had something there for me.
It's more than just a game. It's more like an event, and people love to come and mix it up afterwards and talk about what they saw. And, it's just been a great climate all year long for our fans and our players. And, the crowds have been amazing. It's the biggest crowds I've seen since I've been here. Yeah. Everywhere we go.
It's that team's biggest.
Talk to Limestone, that was the biggest crowd of the year. You talk to East Peoria, that's the biggest crowd since '96. Everywhere we've gone. So the good thing about that is we're acclimated to big crowds.
Right.
We're not going to be shell shocked when we go play somewhere and it's packed.
No, the only crowd that Morton gets that's bigger is when they have their game ball run. That's a special event.
And they quit doing that with us because we just smashed them every time we played them. Yeah. It'd be like full of energy, and then it was like dead for the 32 minutes.
Yeah. But it was
should have paid us something. Maybe we'd take it easy. No.
I will say this, that a pretty cool event for them.
Yeah.
And I've
raised a mere $180,000.
Just $180,000.
That's just amazing.
It is amazing, and what a great thing for them to do. I'm a little bit jealous of them, but.
I'm not. I mean, I don't have to go to the quote Potter Dome every day.
Okay, well, if we want to go be politically correct on the Potter Dome part, the one thing I will say for him though is
it's not a dome;
it's a box. The one thing I will say about him is that I think I do football games, I do basketball games. The best rendition of the national anthem was by a little 5 or 6-year-old girl during the game ball run that they had a few years ago, if you remember that.
I do. Tremendous.
Tremendous. Yeah. Maybe the best I've heard.
Big voice.
Big voice for 5 or 6 years old. Wow.
That was pretty cool.
It was. Now you head into the regionals, Coach. You get to go to Washington.
Yep. Our second home.
Or your second home. You've
played our 6th and 7th game of the year.
Yeah.
Which is quite a bit.
It's a lot to play on somebody else's court.
Right.
The nice part is it's about, 10 miles away?
8 miles.
Yeah. It's pretty darn close. Mm-hmm. You get to play a streeter team.
Yes.
Next Wednesday.
Who's pretty good in their own right. They won their conference.
Wow.
11-3.
Wow. So that's not going to be a push. That's got to be one of the tougher first-round regional.
For a 1 seed, sure it is. I mean, there's no reason why we ought to have a team that's winning their conference. It still ought to be sectional seeding, 1 through 18, whatever it might be. 1 plays 18, and so on and so forth. So until we get that, and we're pushing towards that, if Craig Anderson is listening, do the right thing. I mean, it's unfair.
Yeah.
Above I-80, below I-80. It's like apples and oranges. If you're going to be fair, let's be fair.
I didn't realize they were that good.
Oh, they're tough.
Yeah.
You got a kid that has scored 40 points in a game, all-time leading scorer in the school, all-time leading three-point shooter. I mean, they're legit.
Oh, man. And you win that game, and you potentially have a rematch with Washington or East Peoria.
Correct.
And that would be another barn burner. We've had some barn burners.
Somebody asked me today, do you mind or care who it is? And I go, no, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Any of the games, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to beat them all anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just get to play.
Right.
So, that's...
But it's nice beating Washington in a regional at their place.
Yes.
Especially if it's overtime.
Oh, I don't want overtime.
I'm talking about 2018.
Oh, that was 3 overtimes.
It was 3 overtimes.
3 overtimes.
How much fun was that?
That was, I'd say, one of the top 2 or 3 games we've ever covered, regardless of sport.
Mm-hmm. That was a wild night.
That was unbelievable.
So much fun. I think I lost 15 pounds. And some hair.
And some hair. Wow, yeah, that was an incredible night. And that's one that won't ever
We beat them as bad as we could.
Beat them by 1 point, yeah. That's as bad as you can beat them. Coach, why don't we take a break, and when we come back, we'll have the Germantown Grill players of the game.
Sounds good.
Central Illinois, you asked for it and we listened. Germantown Grill is growing, adding more dining space and a private gaming area featuring games powered by Gold Rush, the gold standard in video gaming. The game's on at Germantown Grill, off Route 116.
Welcome back to the Danny Grieves Show. Coach, we'll start with Limestone. We'll go with Tyler Mason on that in that game. I thought he just had an outstanding game, one of many games. He's been the player of the game numerous times this year. He was just outstanding.
He brings such energy, and that's every game. He's hard to guard. He's hard to press. You leave him open, he knocks down the shot. You give him any kind of room at all to get the basket, he's already gone past you and scored. So he's been a lot of fun to coach.
Would it be he's too fast, too strong, too good?
What's that?
Is it a fact the way to describe Mason is that he's too fast, too strong, and just plain too good?
He's too efficient. I mean, you talk about a guy that doesn't take many bad shots, finds a way to get to the rim, and he's so efficient in everything he does, even on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he usually guards our other guys' best guard, him and Tucker, and everybody we play's got at least two guards that are really good, and those guys take turns. Tucker takes the bigger one. Mason takes the shorter one, and I tell you what, man, those guys have really gotten good at taking away the offense by taking their guards out of how they set up, where they set up, can they make a pass? I mean, it's little things that the average person wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really cool to watch them work.
They have, the thing about Mason that just amazes me is, and I don't know when you look at a person, okay, does that person look fast when they're just standing there? But Mason does surprise you just how fast he is.
Right.
And when you watch him go, I mean,
great acceleration.
Oh, when he gets the ball on those outlet passes, and your team looks
quick
strong,
leaper,
quick and height. Oh my gosh! One of these times he's going to have it may not be this year. It'll be next year. Sometime before he leaves Metamora, he will have a jaw-dropping rebound, slam dunk, putback.
He probably will. His time is impeccable when he goes to the offensive glass. Everybody goes up, and all of a sudden you see somebody shot out of a cannon from the side, and he just grabs it, and that's pretty cool. Tyson Swanson had one the other night, and so did he. And I'm going, now we're getting more guys other than just Mace doing that, which is kind of nice. Mm-hmm. And especially if somebody wants to play a zone against us, and I think it probably will happen here. 1-3-1, little 2-3, and you better put a body on us because we're going to the rebound. Our guys have done a pretty good job lately of that.
There was a play down in Normal West when we played Notre Dame where he came out of nowhere, and it looked like he was going to. His back was to us, so he couldn't really tell how far away he was to the rim. It looked like he was going to grab the ball and then come down and dunk it. He looked like he was about 1.5 feet above the rim.
Yeah, you got up.
And I'm thinking, and there was kind of a ooh through the crowd.
Right.
I mean, it was, and he got an easy rebound bucket.
Yep.
But I thought that was going to be the one where he was going to come back and slam it on the rebound. He was the Limestone player of the game. Outstanding basketball game for Tyler Mason. In the East Peoria game, we went with Drew Tucker. Just the fact that I believe he had 10 points, but the job he did on Justin Page was unbelievable.
And bringing the ball up and running our show. Because he took a beating.
He took a pounding that game. What do you say? He's made out of gristle?
He is, man. I tell you what, he's just so sharp. And, he's gained 30 pounds from last year. And you can tell that, he's not just taking the hits, he's giving the hits and finishing. Where last year, he'd get knocked so hard he couldn't even get the ball off sometimes, and he'd get to the line. But he's been really fun to watch and grow and get big and physical and strong. I remember when he was a sophomore starter, and he was about this big around.
Mm-hmm.
His very first game, the first half as a starter, he struggled a little bit. And after that, at halftime, we talked, and he's never looked back. Same thing with Swanson.
Didn't want to shoot down there.
No.
But he shoots now.
He shoots now. And Swanson had a bucket in that game at the buzzer to try to put it in overtime, if you remember right.
Yes. And it just, I believe it rimmed in and out.
A little bit short.
Yep. So, yeah, you're right. Those guys have been fantastic. And then last night, we just didn't want to name one guy, so we went with the 6 seniors.
Oh, that's perfect. They came out. I told them, look, you got a 4-minute game. We talk about 2-minute game, 1-minute game, 4-minute game. I said, it's your night. I'm going to give you 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Or I'll give you 4 seconds. All right. It's up to you. How are you going to handle it? What are you going to do? Are you going to be efficient? You're going to just throw it in the stands. You're not going to guard. I said, so do what you want with it, man. I hope you have a great time. And they did. They went out and guarded, didn't throw the ball away, and just played good basketball. And it was fun to watch those kids do that. It was their night, and they deserved that.
Yeah. They all scored.
Yeah, they did.
And they all, they got a couple threes. Devin Dunn hit a 3. Caden Hartnett hit a 3. Briar Cremines had a nice drive to the basket and score. And I loved seeing it because then when they turned and started coming back to play defense, the smiles on their faces.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
we're still there this morning.
We're still there this morning.
And then it was great. It worked out. There was a dead ball with 8 seconds left, and we could get them all out, make a curtain call, standing ovation. I mean, that was really neat. Stuff that, you would like to have happen, and more times than not it doesn't, and it all happened.
Yeah.
They all scored in succession. 1, 2, 3 in those possessions, and I'm going, all right, life is good.
Life is really good.
Yeah.
And, man, the parents were happy with those kids.
Right.
Fans were happy. Your players were incredibly excited for them.
Yeah.
And your coaching staff was too.
Sure.
Great night. Boy, I wish we had some more home games.
I do too.
Season's gone by way too fast.
That's why in the postseason, if you can seed the sectional, and if it's, whatever teams it is, they got 9, the first 9 would be home games. It would be nice to get a home game in the postseason. Mm-hmm. We'd sell it out again.
We'd sell it out again.
All right, and then you move on, and they used to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right? It was tough, when I was at Notre Dame as a head coach, first night I had to go to Galesburg, and they were loaded.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the winner of that game had to go to Quincy, and they were loaded. All right, but as part of it, if you're loaded and work your tail off, and then you have that success, I think in the postseason you ought to be rewarded for that. Mm-hmm. Other than just being the number 1 seed, and then the way they've got it set up, I play a team that's already won their conference. That's not how it should be set up. That's not how it's set up north of I-80.
No.
And so let's make it fair.
But Coach, it's getting really exciting. These games that you're getting ready to play are you've gone from being the hunter to being the hunted.
Right.
And
I reminded of that again before the game and at halftime last night. Take care of the ball. Some really great philosophies, right? So we came out and had 2 turnovers in the first 19 seconds. Just the way we wrote it up.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
Good job, fellas. But they turned that right around.
Oh, sure.
They really did.
Did they have 2 turnovers the rest of the quarter?
Oh, I'm sure they did. I don't know for sure, but they did a better job of taking care of it after that.
Yeah.
I mean, there was only one way to go.
Yeah, at that point. But I think you outscored them 20-6 in that third quarter.
I think we did.
But now they get a lot more intense, maybe a little bit more, but they get a lot more meaning because it's do or die now.
Yes, it is.
And
no guarantees.
No guarantees, and you're number 1 seed. You're the number 1 ranked team, but that doesn't win any state championships.
I told them all that. None of that matters. I mean, here we are. We've got 6 more days to prep. our success has always been about our prep. And so I stopped our pre-practice 2 minutes in, and I said, look, if we don't have our best pre-practice of the year, shame on us. Because everybody else, I guarantee you, Streeter is, and East Peoria, and Washington. They're gearing up to try to, win that first game and then beat us. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you don't have your greatest practice, then you've lost ground, all right? And that's how we looked at it today, and we had a really good practice. Got in the weight room and got strong again.
Yep, and they definitely have got that. That's the other thing that you notice about this team is how much stronger they've gotten. Last year Hawkinson kind of beat up on Ethan a little bit in the championship game. I thought Ethan kind of beat up on him this year.
Well, I don't know if he beat up on him, but he didn't. He won the battle inside. Now we had a little bit different scheme to do it, and it seemed to work. And we'll probably have to tweak that again if we see him again. But and I'd love that opportunity. It means we're somewhere to,
get farther down the line,
right? But it's such a fluid defense. We just got to get better and stronger every time. Like even today, our shortcomings were exposed again, and we had to stop practice and go, now look, here's how we have to do that. So the learning process is always ongoing.
Yeah.
And but our guys are always willing to listen and try that. And as long as they can do that and keep an open mind, because those guys that know everything, man, you can't coach them, you can't teach them. They are what they are, and then their insufficient abilities get exposed, and all of a sudden they lose. And our guys haven't been that way. We've got exposed a lot, but they've been pretty good about trying to listen and try to make up for the things that we're not very good at.
Coach, I just got one last question for you, and then we'll let you get going here. But how much fun has it been to coach these kids?
Oh, it's been a blast. It really has.
Yeah.
And we still have our moments,
Sure.
And especially early on in the season. But that's part of the growing pains and the process of inching along. And before you know it, you have great gains. And that's just what happened again.
Yeah, 25-game winning streak.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Coach, congratulations. Conference champions again. We'll see you Wednesday in Washington.
Sounds great.
Thanks for tuning in, and join us next week for another edition of The Danny Grieves Show.